Hello and welcome back to Traversing the Cosmos. My name is Fola and I'm so happy to be back. I can't believe how long it's been. I can't believe all the places that I've been. I got to travel Asia and see New Zealand, taste all kinds of foods, see all kinds of sights and temples. I got to make new friends. But all the while, I was missing you guys, my tribe. So I am over the moon that we're back. And today we're going to be talking about Mercury retrograde and how it's going to be showing up for us collectively and sign by sign as well. There's some major emphasis on radical change. Mercury is going to be working with Uranus and Chiron throughout this retrograde period. So buckle up. Growth, change, healing, forgiveness of self and others. That is what this Mercury retrograde is bringing up for us. Oh, and a little bit of heart. Mercury is, after all, in Leo. And it's going to be encouraging us to get to the bottom of what our heart wants, to be authentic to our hopes and dreams and desires, and to show our creative expression. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, okay? Let's start at the very beginning. It's a very good place to start. And to start from the beginning, that means we're going to have to address the shadow period. Before every retrograde and after every retrograde, there is a shadow period. And what that means is while Mercury is going to only retrograde from August 5th through the 28th, the shadow period starts on July 17th, which is the point that Mercury will cross the threshold of 21 degrees and 24 minutes in Leo. Going forward, it's going to go all the way to 4 degrees of Virgo. Then it's going to retrograde back starting at August 5th, all the way back to Leo at 21 degrees and 24 minutes. And while the retrograde is over, Mercury will still be in shadow until Mercury crosses the threshold of 4 degrees of Virgo. And that will be happening on September 11th. So it's a nice chunk of time, July 17th through September 11th, about 2 months of reworking this part of our life, this area in our chart. And the shadow period is going to get kickstarted by a pretty impactful transit, okay? A pretty loud transit. It's going to be when Mars and Uranus come together in the sky in the sign of Taurus. Mars is the planet of action and drive, war, fighting, sex, pleasure. Uranus is the planet of divine chaos, divine disruption, authenticity, and wisdom. And they're coming together in a sign that is usually very comfortable keeping things the same, but because of the degree point, because this is at 26 degrees on a planet Algol, the dark star, the demon star, this is actually the degree point where Taurus starts to evolve. It starts to change and alter itself to get ready for its Gemini phase. This particular gene key, 26 degrees of Taurus sits on, is gene key number 8. And it is all about innovation. It's all about the creative mind and your own genius. And the human design gate number 8 is about creativity, recognition, standing out, further leading us down the path that this Mercury retrograde is going to open up for us. There is a need to break past your boundaries, your barriers. There is a need to ignite your fires and to make some adjustments, to do things a little differently, and possibly even through doing things differently, actually getting closer to your authenticity, your authentic expression. I say this because Mercury is going to be working very closely with the planet Uranus and also with Chiron. We're going to be doing some healing. We're going to be breaking the box. that possibly we've put ourselves in. All right, so let's actually get into some dates, shall we? Because while we are going to be addressing specifically the retrograde, we do have a couple of cycles. Like I said, Mercury is going to be working with Uranus and Chiron 3 times. They're going to have interactions throughout the retrograde and shadow period. First up, Mercury in Leo, trining Chiron in Aries. That's going to happen 3 times. The first time is September 18th. Go back. Think about what happened for you that day, process it a little bit deeper, because we're going to have the second transit on August 23rd. And then the final transit of Mercury trine Chiron is going to take place on September 2nd, the day of the new moon. Mercury in Leo is going to be on gate/gene key number 4, and Chiron in Aries is at 42. Mercury in Leo is going to be working with the themes of intolerance, understanding, forgiveness, and solutions. And Chiron in Aries is working with the themes of expectation, detachment, celebration, following through, and balanced development. Those are going to be the collective energies that are expressed. Obviously, we'll dive a little deeper later into your sign-by-sign analysis, but those are the themes of the Mercury trine Chiron transits. Each time it's going to be a little different. Obviously, the sun and the moon and Venus, they're going to be in different spots, different parts of your chart when you experience these 3 separate dates. But there is an overall theme of being introduced to an issue, which you might have been on the 21st. Scratch that. It's the 18th of July. That's the first transit. And then the next transit may have you revisiting that issue a month later on the 23rd of August. And then being able to wrap it up on the 2nd, a week after that. Simultaneously, Mercury will also be working with Uranus, but it's going to be squaring Uranus. While a trine with Chiron is definitely supportive and healing, a square with an already volatile planet is quite alarming, okay? Some tempers may flare, especially with a Mercury in a fire sign. There may be some pressure experienced with this Mercury square Chiron. But if you follow that pressure and don't avoid it, don't shy away from it, you may be able to release it, relieve yourself of that pressure, and allow it to bring something beautiful into your life. So Mercury is going to square Uranus for the first time on July 21st. And so that's your introduction. What's going on here? What is Mercury trying to teach you? What is going wrong? What is coming into your life that's unexpected? And how have you been dealing with it? Now, you will have almost a month to figure that out before the second transit. Mercury is going to square Uranus retrograde. Mercury retrograde is going to square Uranus for the second time on August 18th, which is also the Mercury Cazimi Day. A lot of energy flying around. A lot of messages, okay? And then the third transit, the final transit, the wrap up is going to be on September 7th. It's interesting because this Mercury in Leo is actually carrying a different energy with its square of Uranus than it was when it was trining Chiron. Now, being a little bit later in the degree point, Mercury is going to be at the 29th gene key gate, and then Uranus is going to be at the 8th gene key and gate. And we talked about the 8th gate. It is all about being a creative. It is all about standing out. It is all about your own divine wisdom and sharing that divine wisdom. Now, it doesn't have to come out in words necessarily, but it's the message that you bring, that you share with the world. It's about channeling that down into the physical. The 8th human design gate is the gate of contribution. So what are you contributing? And then Mercury in Leo, like I said, is at 29, which is the gate of saying yes to life, being excited, diving deep into your enthusiasm. In the Gene Keys, 29 is about devotion. Yes, the shadow is half-heartedness, the gift is commitment, and the city is devotion. What can you give your heart to? What can you devote your entire being to and be more than happy to do so? What lights you up? What are you passionate about? What are the things that you want to do, but you're too busy waiting for the green light from somebody else? What can you give to yourself? And through giving to yourself, you give to others. Another major transit that's going to take place during this retrograde process is the Mercury cazimi. Now, the cazimis happen every time a planet retrogrades. They travel backwards, or they appear to travel backwards, and they get the closest to the sun that they can possibly get. That is called the cazimi. And for a Mercury cazimi, it is known as a light bulb moment, messages flying, things coming through, downloads coming through. And this Mercury cazimi is taking place, like I said, on August 18th, the same day that the second Mercury square Uranus is going to take place. This energy is also on the 29th gene key and gate. It is at 26 degrees of Leo. This day is something to mark down in your calendars, because of the intensity of the energy, because of the combination of the transits. There is likely to be something very valuable for you to listen to or write down. This day is a click, and while it does feel like there's a little bit of frustration involved because, once again, Mercury is squaring Uranus, it feels like through that second dose of what's going on, what the fuck is going on, what is this, there's a breakthrough as well on this day. And specifically, the 29th gate in human design is kind of bringing up the energy of succeeding where others have failed. You have an opportunity, or maybe somebody in your life has an opportunity to get it right this time. Like I said, take note, be very prepared for this cazimi. Because the next day, the sun is going to square Uranus, and you're going to get an opportunity to put your plan, put your solution, your idea, or even your new way of approaching something into motion, into action. All right, and the last big transit that's going to be taking place during this Mercury retrograde season is Mercury is going to sextile Mars. On August 24th, Mercury in Leo, which is at gate 4 and gene key 4, is going to sextile Mars in Gemini at gene key 12 and gate 12. And that 12 energy is bringing up themes of vanity versus like purity, pure expression, clear expression, and even caution when trying to find your words to make sure that you are expressing yourself exactly the way that you want to. And not only is this energy being brought in, 12 is actually connected to gate 22, and they are both being completed during this day. They're going to form a full channel, and that channel is the channel of openness. It's the channel of being social and passionate and following your feelings, but also of waiting before you speak, like being asked for your opinion before just giving it, being patient for clear emotional direction. And that patience lends itself to your manifesting ability. It lends itself to you being able to visualize the right direction, visualize exactly what it is that you are trying to bring forth. Now, there's another channel that is being completed on this day, and that's the channel of mating. Now, I know how it sounds, but it's I mean, it could also just be the channel of mating, like regular mating, but it also speaks to birthing projects, And it gives us this drive to be endlessly creating life, endlessly bringing life into form. It's also about peace and transparency and breaking down barriers and intimacy. It's this depth, this level of intimacy that we find. And it's through the depth, through going deeper into our own personhood and being able to open up and share, be intimate with another or with a large group of people. Your ability to go deep within yourself and to come back up to the surface with treasure. That is the intimacy, that is the creativity, and they're all wrapped up in one little bow. So, huge energy. Like, y'all, this Mercury retrograde is going to do wonders for our authentic self-expression, creative expression. And that doesn't just show up in the artsy-fartsy ways, okay? It shows up in every facet of our lives. Because we are the creators of our lives, okay? We are the painters of our world. We get to build it with our imaginations and the realities that we accept. And so we have to get very specific. We have to get very detailed about what it is that we want to bring forth. So I know I have been talking about this Mercury retrograde taking place in the sign of Leo, but it actually starts in the sign of Virgo at 4 degrees, like we talked about, and it's going to incorporate both signs, and that's definitely not a coincidence. There's a need to get it right with Virgo, and the only way that you get it right with the repetition and the diligence and everything is to have it right from the beginning, from the start of the matter, or from the heart of the matter. Leo. So I want you to think about this. I want you to ask yourself, what do you love about this? Why are you doing it in the first place? How can this thing that you're focusing on or reworking in your life aid in your contribution to society and the world? What lights your heart up about whatever it is that you're doing? Why are you invested? And when you figure that out, that's when you can really do the work of building. This transit, this Mercury retrograde, is an emboldening. It's a healing so that you can come out stronger on the other side, more prepared than ever, and more certain than you were before. Mercury, Chiron, Uranus, and Mars are going to be working together throughout this retrograde period to infuse the heart back into your details, to have you restructuring your structures and blending your intentions with action. Remember, honesty over likability. Remember to be of service. Remember to sit with yourself and evaluate your actions, evaluate how they make you feel, and evaluate what brings you joy in the short and long term. Ask yourself if there's space for you to be more heart-led in your endeavors, or if you really need to keep it by the book, be diligent, precise. Ask yourself where you've gotten lost in your routines, or adversely, where you are all creative fire and little to no discipline. Ask yourself if you're overly critical of yourself and others. And if so, add a teaspoon more of love and compassion into your movements, into your thoughts. All right, so quick recap. We are currently in the shadow period, so you might be seeing some signs of what's to come, of what you need to rethink or rework or heal. As of August 5th, Mercury will officially start its retrograde process. It will retrograde all the way until August 28th, and then we'll be back in the shadow period moving forward, but still working out the kinks. We finally leave shadow period on September 11th. All right, Let's break this down sign by sign, shall we? Let's do this. Aries, you're up first. You're going to be experiencing this transit in your 5th and 6th houses. And it's going to be all about honing your creative fire in your everyday routines, personally and professionally. You're going to be charging forward with well-grounded plans for a new project, replacing impatience with practicality and planning, re-examining what brings you pleasure and why, and how you can be more vigilant about your health. Indulge in your creative outlets and mingling with loved ones. And don't be afraid to solve issues with people you see fairly often. It's time to tackle them now. Taurus, you're going to be experiencing this Mercury retrograde in your 4th and 5th houses, and it's going to have you exploring your foundations. You might have unexpected expenses come up. You're going to be addressing family issues and having gatherings with old friends and loved ones. You might be experiencing some talks about expanding your family, reminiscing about the old times and reflecting on lessons you've learned in the past. And I want you to ask yourself what has been joyful in the past and what brings you joy now. I also want you to keep in mind how you can be more flexible in life and with others. Geminis, you guys are going to be experiencing this Mercury retrograde in your 3rd and 4th house, signaling a time of personal transformation, communication, and focus on familial matters of the home. And I want you to ask yourself, how can you maintain mental peace and harmony? I want you to ask yourself, when do you feel misunderstood and how does that affect you? Think about how you can communicate more effectively, ways and tactics that you can use. And I want you to also think about how you can broaden your horizons. And Geminis, you're Mercury ruled. And so there's a potential for this Mercury retrograde to cause a lot of friction and frustration. Mars is in your 1st house. It is firing you up. And you just need to be well aware of that. Try to counteract it. Make sure that you practice breathing, that you slow down, and you choose your words wisely. Use your mind wisely. Cancers, this Mercury retrograde is going to be taking place in your 2nd and 3rd houses, bringing up themes of communicating, but communicating from the heart space and, obviously money management. But more so, it's about your values and how you express those values. So I want you to think about it. How can you be more specific about your needs? Are you receiving the recognition that you deserve? What have you been hesitant to voice? All right, and I'm just going to bring it back up again because it's very important. We're dealing with 2nd house. So money matters are going to come up. And since Mars and Uranus are in your 11th house, you might be dealing with money matters when it comes to friends. Are you lending out too much money? Are you borrowing too much money? Are you just spending a lot of money when you go out with your gals or your guys or whoever, everyone in between? Where can your money management improve? Leo, you're going to be experiencing this Mercury retrograde in your 1st and 2nd houses. And that's a pretty big deal because your 1st house is the lens that you see the world through and how the world sees you. So you're going to be sculpting your own personal presentation. You're going to be sharing ideas and pouring into your professional relationships and networks, marketing yourself. I want you to be specific about a message that you want to be received well. I want you to think about how people see you and how you see yourself. And I want you to think about what is worth going to bat for. What are you willing to put up a fight for? And last but certainly not least, how can you be more scrupulous about your spending and investments? Virgo, this Mercury retrograde is going to be taking on your 1st and your 12th house. And so what that tells me is that you're in the middle of completing a cycle. Mercury is going to be bringing up issues with your public persona and appearance, career and life path, spirituality, the arts, traveling, and your alone time. There's a lot being brought up here, and it's all extremely important to your next steps. This is the time to surrender to your connection to all things, to deepen your understanding of self, and to get particular about how you want to show up. Misunderstandings may arrive in public work settings, but don't shy away from them. And certainly don't shy away from adventure either. What is coming to a close for you? What new door, what new pathway is opening up for you? That is what I want you to ponder during this retrograde. Libra, this Mercury retrograde is going to be taking place in your 11th and 12th houses, urging you to balance your alone time versus your people time. The 11th house is all about your groups and associations, and the 12th house is about isolation. So there is a dance that you're doing. And I want you to ask yourself, how important is it to you to be a shoulder for everyone? Do you give too much of yourself away to everyone else? And when you're alone, how do you psych yourself out? How do you undercut yourself when nobody's around? This transit feels like it's building a confidence in you. Yeah, people are very important to you, Libra, and this is just another chipping away at that overly giving, overly extending version of yourself. There's also potential for a fight with your friends. There's a potential for money matters to go awry with your friends and your social groups. So like I said, finding the balance between the time you spend with others and the time you spend by yourself, and also figuring out who's for you, who's really your friend, who is deserving of your time. Scorpio, this Mercury retrograde is taking place in your 10th and 11th houses, but Mercury also rules your 11th and 8th houses. And so there's like a combining of this career plus business plus people. So money quarrels may come up during this time. You may start to begin a business or start a group. Finding a business partner is possible during this time. You may be collecting donations on behalf of a group or a cause. And honestly, just generally investing in your career and life path. Sewing the heart back into your professional endeavors. Yeah, and being more vulnerable about something you may have kept to yourself previously. So I want you to think about where you need to put your money and how your investments can produce the largest return. Who is coming into your life to add to what you've got going on? And honestly, locking that down. Yeah, this is a very good time to click up. Click up with people who are moving in your direction. It's 10th house stuff, life path stuff. And with your 10th house being in Leo, there is some serious passion involved. Which means you have to find somebody who's just as passionate about what they do as you are about what you do if you want to link up with them. This is a very good time to vet a business partner. Sagittarius. Mercury is going to be retrograding through your 9th and 10th houses, and it's going to bring up themes of publishing, career, relationships, traveling, and wisdom. Your everyday work life may also experience a shakeup and recharge with Uranus residing in your 6th house at the moment. But this retrograde really feels like a provoking moment in your outward facing life. Like, how do people see you and how do you want to be seen? All right. We're talking about your career and your life path. what you are known for. So I want you to think about how you want to be seen. And how are you carefully constructing your legacy? Now, we're also talking about the ninth house, so I want you to think about your beliefs and the beliefs in your life and how they have been changing and evolving. I want you to ask yourself, are your core beliefs your guiding light in your public life? Do you move outwardly the way that you feel inwardly? And how do your beliefs bleed into your career? There's also a potential to travel for work during this period. And I just want to emphasize to allow life to take you in a new direction, okay? Follow Uranus's call. Don't stick to what you know all the time. Allow evolution to take place. Capricorn, Mercury is going to be retrograding through your 8th and 9th houses. And this is going to bring up that stuff that you don't always want to talk about, okay? It's going to bring up secrets and fears and generally things that just usually get swept underneath the rug or things that you would like people to ignore. So this transit is going to have you pondering your uncertainties. It's going to bring up difficulties in the workplace, contract negotiations. And for you, I deeply feel the death of a fear that has swayed your perception of the world. We're talking about 8th and 9th house. So it's very much so ingrained in your beliefs. Something in your life has you in a vice grip, and you're going to challenge it head on. Now, I want you to think about how can you embody your power in your everyday life? How much stress do you carry on your plate, and can you carry less? Do you have any health issues that need tending to? Does the environment in your life need to change? And how can you avoid ego clashes in your relationships? Get ready, Cappies, because while this may not be the easiest Mercury retrograde, it is going to empower you in the end. Aquarius, Mercury is going to be retrograding through your 7th and 8th houses, bringing up themes of relationships, intimacy, shared money, and contracts. And there's really an emphasis on familial struggles, okay? Because Uranus is in your 4th house and it's going to be squaring Mercury when it's in your 7th house of relationships. So home and a personal one-on-one connection, there's going to be an issue to be solved, okay? There's going to be something that needs to be addressed. And it may have to do with things like sexual exploration, dating, how vulnerable you are in your relationship. Secrets may come up, money may come up, trust is going to come up. Now, it's the 8th house, so you might also be dealing with like a business partner. You know, it doesn't have to be just a romantic partner. It will affect your family and your home living situation somehow, but you could also be going through something with a business partner. This is shared business ventures, merging your finances, contracts and agreements, and generally finding the balance between love in your home life and in your partnership and vigilance in your financial matters. It's time to get vigilant, Aquarius. And I know you can do that. Get your Hawkeye on. Pisces, Mercury is going to be retrograding through your 6th and 7th houses, bringing up themes of relationships, everyday routines, work, health, and balancing both of those things. So I want you to ask yourself, how do the relationships in your life help and harm your everyday routines and work life? Are there people in your vicinity that are not conducive to you getting shit done? Or can those people in your life help you to better get shit done? What have you been struggling with on your own? Is it time to ask for some assistance? How can you connect deeper to loved ones and strengthen your lines of communication? Now, I will say there is a potential for a blow up in your immediate vicinity, okay? Like in your immediate family or with your neighbors, people that you rock with in your immediate environment. There's going to be some sort of shakeup there and some issue that needs to be solved. And when that issue comes up, I want you to think about what patterns need to be broken in your life. And then ask yourself, how can you make your daily life more engaging, fun, and healthy for yourself? All right, everyone. Thank you so much for coming back. Thank you so much for taking this time with me, for talking about astrology with me, and for sharing space with me. I hope you all have a wonderful, enlightening Mercury retrograde and integration process. And I can't wait until next time. Oh, if you have any stories, anything to share with me about this retrograde, about your chart, anything at all, leave a comment down below. Oh, and don't forget, subscribe to the channel, like the video, like the podcast, do all that, and I'll see you next time. Oh, and don't forget, you belong. Bye. Bye now.